Let's take a look at 5 struggling players, and we will start things off with Sonny Gray, who got burned by the long ball in Cincinnati. 5 innings, 6 runs allowed. Still did have 9 strikeouts, but 3 home runs allowed in this start, and that has been a problem for Sonny Gray this year. If you remember, last year, the home run rate was minuscule. 0.39 home runs per 9, 5.2 home runs to fly ball rate. This year, that's jumped up to 1.17 home runs per 9, 15.5% home run to fly ball rate. And over his last 8 starts, a 5.89 ERA and a 1.31 whip. Scott, what do we do with Sonny Gray?
I think we just keep starting him and accept that there are going to be bad starts sometimes. The previous 2 starts were great, went 7 innings in both. He probably won't be the runner-up for Cy Young this year like he was in the AL last year. But he is somebody who puts the ball on the ground more than in the air. So the home runs are a little surprising, a little out of character for Sonny Gray. And I don't want to make too much of them.
Mm-hmm. The underlying numbers are fantastic. 315 FIP, 273 XFIP. I mean, that's more than a run lower than his actual ERA. At some point, you can't just completely rely on those numbers because, you know, someone like Pablo Lopez had great underlying numbers all season, and at one point he had an ERA over 5. So it's frustrating, but it seems like Sonny Gray should have better overall numbers than he does right now. What about Taj Bradley? He got rocked by the Astros, 4 1/3 innings, 6 runs allowed, gave up 2 homers in this one. Still did have 13 whiffs on 93 pitches. Looks like he really only had the curveball working. He struggled with the fastball and the splitter, which has, you know, those have been his money pitches over the past couple months. Maybe he's hitting a wall. The last 3 starts have all been pretty bad for Taj Bradley, a 9.64 ERA, a 1.93 whip. Scott, what do you think about Taj? Is he hitting the proverbial wall here?
You know, I don't really know what's going on with him. I actually was spending time prior to this podcast putting together a list of pitchers with innings limit concerns. And Taj Bradley didn't make the cut for me. Remember, he missed time with injury earlier this year, and he still has a ways to go to get to his career high in innings. So I don't think that's going to be an issue for him. He does allow harder contact than you might expect for a pitcher who has been as dominant as he's been this year, and maybe that's all catching up to him at once. I know 2 of the 3 bad starts here for Taj Bradley, he's given up 2 home runs in them. And it's hard to have a good start when you give up 2 home runs. It's not going to happen very often. So that might be factoring in. You look at the breakdown of his pitches individually. Everything but the fastball has a batting average against below 200. So maybe it's just a lot of regression catching up here, and he was overperforming for so long. I mean, he was untouchable for like 2 months, right?
Yeah.
Taj Bradley. So I still think there's a ton of talent. Because this is a 2-start week, you probably had him activated. I had him as a must-start 2-start pitcher. So he'll make the second start, and we'll see how that goes. If it turns out to be bad, you could think about sitting him for what.
Whoa, it's been a while. But Robo Scott is back. Here we go.
Oh boy.
Wow, I wasn't
Not
expecting
good.
an appearance from this guy.
I know everybody's been saying they've been missing him.
Well,
I don't know what that says about me that they prefer my robot alter ego, but you can hear me now, right? I'm not just speaking into a void. I think that was just a temporary internet blip and not a reversion of my past issues. But anyway, what was I saying? Taj Bradley. I was saying probably more than I should. I think he's good. If he's bad his second start this week, you could think about benching him. But as soon as he turns it around, you're going to want to start him again.
Yeah, I mostly agree. I think some regression here. He was so good for so long. And even after this rough 3-start stretch, it's a 3.49 ERA and a 1.14 whip with a great strikeout rate. So I don't think anyone is complaining what they've got from Taj Bradley overall this season. Let's talk about William Contreras, who really struggled in June and July. He has picked things up so far in August, but this is a name that we just didn't really talk about because he was so good for so long. But 2 for 3 with his 14th home run here on Monday. June and July combined 47 games. Contreras hit 230 with just 3 home runs, a 638 OPS, and a 58% ground ball rate. So far in August, he's up that 333 batting average, 3 homers, 11 RBI, 1191 OPS. This could be just a similar thing here, Scott, where there's ups and downs throughout the course of a season, and here's where we've landed. It's still a really good year for Contreras, but what do you think about those, that like 2-month struggle that we saw from William Contreras recently?
Well, I mean, since he's turned things around here in August, I'm inclined to think it was just a little blip, maybe a mechanical issue, maybe an approach issue. The fact that the ground ball was up near 60% leads me to believe he was maybe overswinging or swinging too early, or something was off. Something was off for him, but it doesn't seem like it was a permanent situation. And now that he's come out of it, yeah, I think William Contreras is going to be the number 1 catcher rest of season. And we could do this anytime a player slumps. We could say, oh, look, there's probably going to be something you could find in the numbers other than just the batting average down. In this case, it's the ground ball rate was way up. But it doesn't mean it's going to be any more permanent than the drop in batting averages.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about Spencer Steer, who had himself a big game on Monday, 2 for 3 with 2 socks and a shoe. He's now up to 18 home runs and 19 steals. He needed this game. Previous 15 before this, a 182 batting average, a 519 OPS. I don't think you can complain. You've gotten 18 home runs, 19 steals already, but it has come with a lower batting average, 237. Any concern here at all, Scott, about some recent struggles from Spencer Steer?
Well, I mean, since he's picked things up here recently, not so much. He's been his batting average has been kind of underwhelming all season, but there's been enough power and speed that he still ranks among the top hitters at every position he's eligible. And so I haven't really worried about him too much. Yeah, last 5 games, 8 for 16 with 3 home runs. Did you say that already for Spencer Steer? Last 5 games?
I just brought up his last 15 total, which was before the start, which was
looks like he's coming out of it.
Yep, it does. What about Lane Thomas? He has plummeted since joining the Guardians. He went 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts in this game. 13 games with the Guardians. He's 5 for 46 with 20 strikeouts. That's a 109 batting average, a 40% strikeout rate. It's obviously a really small sample size. Still has a 92.1 average exit velocity during the span. Still 94% rostered. What do you think here, Scott? Lane Thomas struggling in Cleveland.
I think he's more of a 237 hitter, which is now what his batting average is overall, than the 253 hitter he was in Washington. And we did right when he was traded that it does seem like Cleveland could be a worse place for him to hit. They aren't as aggressive of a base stealing club as Washington is. I know it doesn't matter when he's getting on base as little as he does. So I'm not going to say that it's terribly surprising to see Lane Thomas have a 2-week stretch like this, whether or not it's just a coincidence that it corresponds to his move to the Guardians. I can't say at this point. I would guess so. To whatever degree the park's going to hinder him and the approach on the bases is going to hinder him, I don't think it's going to make him a 109 hitter,
Mm-hmm. He's still a hold, right? You're not dropping.
Yeah, I would say so. I do worry that it could cost him playing time if it continues much longer. He's much better against lefties than righties.